Welcome back. A federal judge overseeing more than 2,300 lawsuits against Uber is dismissing some key claims in the case. The suit involves claims that drivers sexually assaulted and harassed their passengers. That judge rejecting some fraud and product liability claims, though. Lawyers for some of the passengers say that, quote, designated driver ads promoting Uber as a safe alternative to drunk driving should have to disclose that intoxicated people, especially women, and especially late at night, face an elevated risk of sexual assault by their drivers. The passengers also said the app notifications with a driver's name, photo, and star rating should have also disclosed drivers' prior misconduct.
For our final topic of the day, I want to bring back our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, so when you look at this, the judge specifically said ads like "Don't drink and drive, call Uber." That it's not necessarily a guarantee of safety, right? So where does the court draw the line when an ad crosses into fraud?
Well, it's a couple of things. This is, in law school, it's called the reasonable, prudent person standard. And it's what would a reasonable person believe when looking at that? The reasonable person they teach you in law school is not you or me. It's the typical person, that atypical, prototypical person. Like, what would they believe when they see this? And I agree with the judge. He's saying that the ad says, don't drink and drive, call an Uber, and stay safe tonight, use Uber. Just as a reasonable person, a reasonable consumer, review those ads merely as an encouragement to use Uber. It's not saying that you rather than drive drunk. They're just trying to tap into a target audience. And so he dismissed the claims because he thought their argument for this was encouraging us. It's the only alternative to not drive drunk was to take Uber. No, this is just one of their business avenues. But the other aspect of their complaints, I think were founded specifically with not disclosing the person's past, not doing proper checks to ensure that you didn't match up female drivers with people that maybe had some type of sexual assault charges in the past. Those are things that the judge thought were arguments that still could be made, and I believe that as well. I mean, if you're saying that they can't make ads that target a specific niche group, then you're going to go down a slippery slope that you don't want to go down. And I don't believe that's fraud. That's just advertising.
Yeah, the whole point of advertising is to target specific people.
Yes.
But what parts of the lawsuit are going to remain intact here, especially when you're talking about people who may have had prior incidents?
It's that they had a portion in there, I'd say that, and I didn't really get clarity on how the judge felt about this, but this argument was made a couple times. Petitioners are asking that the judge enforce and request Uber to start having gender matching. And Uber was saying we don't have an ability to do that, specifically if you're a female passenger wanting a female driver. They said that wasn't something there. But the portion that's still going forward, as you asked, was that part about, okay, if you're a person that had some prior offenses, some prior things that Uber had knowledge of, and I've never been an Uber driver, so I don't know the process. I don't know if they're doing background checks, but maybe that's something that they should start doing. That is something that they're saying that will be able to continue to go forward. But I think Uber has the statistics on their side in this situation. If you're looking at the numbers, and in any incident of sexual assault, any incident of any type of sexual violence, it's bad. But if you're looking at the statistical numbers, it's extremely low. Uber said only less than 1% of their $1.8 billion trips had any type of reported safety incident, and only 2,717 reported incidents of sexual assault during one calendar year. So those 2,700 people, yeah, they're frustrated by the situation that occurred to them. But Uber is saying holistically, we are doing an excellent job at ensuring that the 99% of the other rides have no incidents.
And Khalif, I should mention that they do have a background check for Uber to become a driver. You have to submit a background check, be approved to drive. Something you brought up when you were talking with Annie about the liability claims about the apps lacking that feature to match passengers with the gender that they are. Would that not also open up potentially down the road if they went with that app? If male drivers or female drivers say, I'm not getting rides because I don't have the right gender.
100%. I mean, I think it opens up a discriminatory claim, as a female or a male driver, and you're saying I'm not getting those rides because I'm living in a location that has way more, female passengers, and I'm a male driver. So as a company, it's not like a public institution where they'd be, have the same instances on the basis of sex where they can't discriminate. But you don't want to be, because these folks are independent contractors and not employees. It opens up a number of different questions and arguments that we've never been involved with how do you deal with this situation to have safety, but also be compliant with the rules and regulations, and give equal opportunity to make an income or make a living. So I think that going that route would add more issues than the issue here, which is 1% of their population. But still trying to find a way to get some type of clarity on how you move forward with the case. The judge gave us some. If this advertising specifically going for niche type of folks, we're not going to discriminate against that or allow those cases to go forward. But if you're saying you're doing things and you could have and should have protected, like you brought to my attention, I had no idea about the background checks. So if that's there, if you're going through that process and you guys have that information, it's clear to see why the judge allowed that to go forward, because you had this information. You need to be using that to prevent these things from happening. So if there's a crystal ball, that case will probably be successful on plaintiff's end because the judge was buying the argument.
All right, Khalif, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.